So we've got a lot to talk about, obviously. This is a major winter storm. We've got heavy rain and snow, and I'm going to give you an early look at the weekend forecast because, it's all about the weekend, and if you're going to get a big storm around here, you want to get it done in the middle of the week so your weekend at least can be mostly clear. However, I do see a few little issues here. So this is what the computer models were looking at a few days ago, and this is exactly how it's looking right now. I just want to set the stage here. I like to do this just so you can see how beneficial this storm is because we're not exactly where we need to be. La Nina pattern ahead of the entire season look like this. Dry to the south, wet to the north. Guess what we have? Dry to the south, wet to the north. The green means that it's closer to average, and we've lost a little bit of ground. We've certainly had our storms, but if we're being honest, here in California, there's been a lot of missed opportunities. Where they did hit, though, is very helpful because that's where the big reservoirs are. Now, as far as rain in the bucket, I think at this point of the season, it's going to be really difficult to imagine a scenario where we're going to make up the amount of ground that we need to for Southern California. Now, they're way better than where they were in January, where some places barely saw any rain at all. The driest start to the rainy season ever in San Diego until they finally got some rain. But, LA's down almost 6 inches, Santa Barbara down 9. That is a really difficult uphill climb to get to. However, far Northern California is doing really good. And in general, Northern California, if we had a big storm or two, we get really close to average. Our reservoirs are in good shape. They're well above average. But what you really need are atmospheric rivers. Now, here's number one. You can see some connection there to deeper moisture, but this one's much more efficient at producing snow rather than rain. We'll get some rain, about an inch, but we're going to get 2 to 4 feet of snow. What we have is a lot of cold air that's diving down with this, so it's going to be really effective at producing snow. But then we just have to watch it. And once we get into Sunday, there's another connection right there. Sunday to Monday is another storm. Then we dry out Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then by the end of the week, we also might see another storm. So we are still in a very active pattern, and today is the beginning of all of that. Last 5 days in a row, temperatures near 70 degrees. I don't know about you, but everything is growing like crazy. Grasses, weeds, lots of weeds, and lots of blossoms on the trees. And this is about when they start to come online, but they really did take advantage of the sunny and warmer weather. A lot of plants are sensitive to temperature, and once it hits that temperature, they start to go. Today, though, we're going back to winter as this is a winter storm with snow, with colder temperatures, highs only in the 50s, and some heavy valley rain. It's not going to rain the entire time, but the peak of the rain really will be intense from about, I would say, 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. later on into this evening. And remember, because of the time change, the sun is still up then, so we do have the possibility of some thunderstorms as well. You need a little bit of sunshine to break through to really get that going, so we're going to have to watch for that scenario. It's more likely by tomorrow. So we are planning on rain, wind, and snow through the rest of today. The wind is already here. So let me just lay it out. Sometimes by looking at a bunch of maps, you might lose the message of what's really going to happen. And I wrote about this on my Facebook page, but this is more helpful. Sometimes we're just going to bullet point the forecast here. Early this morning to the afternoon, light precipitation. That's for rain, that's for snow. We are easing into this. Gear number one. It's going to be windy by noon. We're already starting to see some of that. The heaviest rain and snow will be this afternoon, like I mentioned, between 2 and 7 p.m. The snow is going to be intense even longer than that, but for the main band of rain, that's roughly when it's going to be here. Tomorrow, we're still looking at rain and snow, but in the valley, it's going to be more scattered showers, including thunderstorms. Anytime you're talking about thunderstorms, it's heavy but brief rain, gusty winds, lightning, and even some hail. This is a cold storm, so I think any thunderstorms really do have a possibility of pea-sized hail, if not a little bit bigger. And we're also looking at low snow. Snow getting down to 3,000 feet is not unprecedented, but in mid-March, that's a little bit low, and certainly it's going to throw some communities which have not seen very much snow at all for a loop. Pollock Pines, for example, could get 4 to 6 inches of snow, and other places right around 3,000 to 4,000 feet, they're going to get some snow. So here's where we are at the moment. Like I mentioned, this is the very beginning of this. This is our main band that has to push through. This really has the dynamics, the lift, everything going for it, and that's really the intense part of the storm. We're already seeing it in Eureka. We're going to continue to see it move down the coast. And for places like Sacramento, moving in right now around 10 o'clock this morning, we've got some light snow up high and some rain light in the Bay Area. So here is that main band. Like I mentioned, this is where all the forcing comes together, the maximum amount of lift. That's where you get the most intense rain. This is a true cold front, and we call this the frontal band because right behind this is all of this cold air. Whenever you see clouds that look like that, like popcorn sitting out there, that means all this cold air is draining in, and that's going to be driving this system and also taking our temperatures down as it moves through. On the front edge of that, though, you get a lot of wind. South wind in the beginning of this. It's going to pick up in intensity throughout the rest of the day, but we're going to start to see it wane and die down once the front pushes through. Then we're going to see the wind direction change a little bit, and tomorrow is not going to be as windy, but it will be breezy along with some of those showers and thunderstorms. Anytime you have a collapsing thunderstorm, by the way, that's when you can get some really gusty winds. So we'll take you through this hour by hour. You know, these forecast models are really good these days, but the bottom line is that I just want to stress that we ease into this until we finally see everything come together. And that's going to be that critical time period between 2 and 7 p.m. That's when this main band moves through. The issue with that is that it should time out for some of you around the time kids are getting out of school, people are getting out of work. It's just going to be a mess. And then on the back end of this, there still is some lingering rain. As it moves into the foothills, it's going to be really intense, enhanced by what we call orographic lift. That's a change in elevation. So it's intense anyway. Once it moves up in elevation, it really rings out some very intense showers. Any burn areas in here have to be very aware that that's the moment when we could start to see some localized landslides related to the intensity of the rain. It all kind of depends on the location, but that's the critical time period when that could happen. And then for the Sierra, this is when it's the windiest, it's the most intense snowfall rates, and this is when we could go whiteout conditions with momentary road closures because people can't see. Then you can see the low snow effect. Anytime you see that band of snow start to widen out, remember, this is a two-dimensional map, but we know that it's also three-dimensional. So as it's spreading out, it's moving down to lower elevations. And that's where we're going to see some lower snow beginning in the middle of the night to early tomorrow morning. There's the scattered nature of the showers and or thunderstorms through the day tomorrow. And that threat does not go away until the sun goes down. And because of the time change, that's past 7 p.m. So here's a couple things. Again, just to ballpark it, what are we looking at between today and tomorrow? Right around an inch of valley rain. Might be a little bit below for the foothills and on the edges of the east side of the valley, maybe a little bit above. Also north of Sacramento, we're headed toward this higher side. The temperatures are going to be cold, mid-50s, 2 to 4 feet of snow between today and tomorrow. By the way, the snow does extend for a little bit longer, lingering snow into Friday, and the snow levels will be tanking overnight to lower elevations, and the winds are absolutely part of this. Looking ahead for tomorrow, when you get the instability and even some peaks of sunshine, that's your threat for thunderstorms. And this includes everybody. It literally could happen anywhere because that's the core of the storm that I showed you off the coast. That's when it's moving through our area. So from the Bay Area to the coastal range, the valley floor, the foothills, that's where we could see some pop-up thunderstorms, including heavy rain, lightning, and also some hail. The Midwest tends to see these higher rankings of intensity and strength of thunderstorms. So if we get anything, it'll be on the lower end. Couple different ways to look at what we're forecasting for rain. If we add in Friday with the random showers, that should push us a little bit over an inch. There is potential for anywhere from 1/10 to 1/4 inch with some lingering showers on Friday. So this will bring us to about an inch for Sacramento, a little bit less than that the farther south you go. Another way of looking at it is the European model, which is a little bit less in some spots, but they're more or less lining up. Right around an inch of rain is what we're expecting. Like I said, you're going to be on either side of that. And then going much closer toward the end of the month, like I mentioned, this is a more active pattern that we're still currently in, even when we see some lulls in the action at the beginning of next week, still remaining cooler than normal and leaning wetter than normal. So going back to the very top of what I was talking about, we're lacking in rain in the bucket and we're lacking in snowpack, which I'll show you in just a second. So these storms and continued pattern is absolutely going to help. Our weather impact alert days related to all the weather that's going to impact you for all elevations are focused on today and tomorrow. Your valley temperatures really tank with all that cold air draining in, like I showed you, with some lingering light showers in general on Friday for rain and for snow and lower snow as well. But then we see a break. Break on Saturday is fine, but remember by Sunday we're going to start to see a new pattern emerge with more rain and snow. It's not a very wet system, but it is going to be warmer, and that's going to be raising the snow levels. And then the beginning of this week looks a little bit dry, but like I showed you at the very top with those atmospheric rivers, we're starting to pull in some more moisture toward the end and at least some warmer air of next week. For snowpack, we are getting close to 100% of what we need in April, but we still have time, but we're also running out of time. So after this storm, these numbers will look a whole lot better, and it should resemble something getting very close to average snow to date, but we're still watching this elusive full snowpack. This should be 100%. Then we're at full snowpack, and that makes us feel a lot better about the water supply going into the long, hot summer. Now, here's a look at the snow forecast. 2 to 4 feet of snow is what we're looking at. There's from Thursday to Friday. We're adding in just a little bit more, and that's how you get to those totals when you add in Friday. So focusing in on Tahoe over the next 7 days, the most impactful is the storm moving in today, and then we're watching the colder and lower snow levels there on Thursday, still producing lots of snow, lingering there on Friday. For the travel, late Friday looks a whole lot better than anything in the middle of the storm. It also happens to be the busiest travel day, usually for people that want to get to the snow, is after work on a Friday. So watch out for the crowds on that. Still lingering chain controls. Saturday is going to be awesome. It's going to be extremely busy. Watch out for that new storm coming in. It is a warmer one, so at lake level 6,000 feet. It might be just rain in the very beginning, but as you see by Monday, it pulls in colder air and it ends with snow.